everybody, and welcome to our webcast for In the Shadows of Service, staying true to the MilSpouse Story. My name is Jennifer Cummins, and I am the CEO of Coral House Productions, a B2B creative content solutions company, and founder of JC Films, director and producer of In the Shadows of Service. And today, I wanted to share with you, the world, some more information about our documentary. Why now is the right time, and how our film will go about telling the modern military spouse story. But first, please allow me to introduce my co-host. Please join me in welcoming Liz Marion. Hey Liz, how are ya?
Hey Jennifer, hey everyone. Really excited to be here today.
Yes, I'm so excited we got to be able to come together and do this. So Liz is our producer for the film. And she's also the executive producer of Twin Pines Studio that produced the film Birdies in 2022. It released on Amazon Prime. And she was the director of CEO Circle, is that correct, with Bunker Labs, and was pivotal for the development of the program.
Yes.
And she is also the founder of Libby Works, a company focused on equipping business leaders for better communication strategies that align their whole team. So thank you so much for joining us here today, Liz.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be part of this project, to bring all of my love for military community, as well as, film production, where Jennifer and I really are aligned in bringing a story to life about military spouses. I've been a military spouse for over 11 years. And I think it's really important for us to highlight and point out that while we are supporting what I call the vocation to military service of our service members, and while we are supporting them fully, it's important for us to also have the ability to have a fulfilled life professionally and personally. And so this documentary, In the Shadows of Service, is all about bringing those points out of the shadows and in front of military aligned people, as well as civilians alike.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And we will also have a guest appearance later on by our executive producer, Monica Fullerton. We did a pre-recorded video message from her that we'll share with you guys later on. So stay tuned for that. But before we get started, I do want to just let everybody know listening that we will have a Q&A session at the end that we'd love for you to participate in. So as you follow along our journey here, start thinking of those burning questions you might like to ask and be ready to drop them in the chat during that time. But as we chat, feel free to add your comments below, and we'll kind of review them and comment as we are talking here about the film. So let's get started. So as most of you likely know, I'm a MilSpouse myself. My husband is in the Coast Guard, and we met when both of us worked on cruise ships. He wasn't in the Coast Guard at the time, but soon after he joined, and both of us have always been adventurers and explorers by heart. I think that's why, we like the military too, is because you get all these experience. We love traveling and seeing the world. And so moving every few years was very welcomed. I love meeting new people and seeing new places. He's been in for 13 years now. What about you, Liz? Did you say how long you were in, that your husband was in?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm originally from Virginia. My husband's from Michigan. We met in North Carolina, where he was stationed and I was in college back in 2009. And so we've been together for a long time. He's been in for a little over 17 years now in the Marine Corps. And like you, we love adventures. We've loved travel. We've lived in 29 Palms. We've lived in North Carolina multiple times. And now we're out in sunny San Diego. So no complaints over here. But, I always say the military, one of the things is I have a lot of interests. If anybody checks out my LinkedIn, you can see that. I've always been the wearer of a lot of hats, and the military has really provided me, and I'm intentionally using the next word, provided the opportunity to explore, professional roles in entertainment, startups, technology, as well as nonprofits, and now settling into entrepreneurship myself. And so I really believe, highlighting all of these things that our spouses and our military families are going through is what this project is all about. And I couldn't be happier to be part of it after, myself being in this for 15, 16 years.
So you said wearer of all hats. And I have to say, I feel like that is a definition of military spouses. I feel like
It
as
is.
spouses, we do wear multiple hats, caregiver, mother, or father, like all that, along with our careers potentially.
I
So
didn't even mention being, mom and like childcare and all that sort of stuff too.
exactly, we leave that part out. And also shout out to Marines. My grandfather was a Marine. He was actually on Iwo Jima when they raised the flag. So I have a special place in my heart for Marines.
Wow, that's amazing.
So by now you all might have heard that we're creating a documentary called In the Shadows of Service. It's a documentary about the modern military spouse and all its complexity, its challenges and triumphs. And I want to emphasize triumphs. This documentary is an inspirational piece showcasing military spouses that have built their own business or empires, despite some of the roadblocks we often face in doing so. Yet this film will also bring awareness. Seasoned or veteran military spouses have paved the way for the modern MilSpouse today, and we understand that. But there is still much progress to be made. And today we have to be a 2-household income family in order to survive. But sometimes finding those jobs are impossible. Childcare is as expensive as a second mortgage. In the past, military spouses were expected to stay home, or there weren't as many opportunities for MilSpouses at that time. Then as time progressed, we were encouraged to take on volunteer opportunities. When we did, and people saw how badass we were then starting our own businesses or becoming entrepreneurs and eventually elected individuals. We have been given the opportunity to lead lives, and we did. This evolution reflects their adaptability and drive to create fulfilling lives despite the demands of military service. Unfortunately, there are bigger roadblocks that we need to break down to continue to build this path for future military spouses. However, our community continues to face hurdles, including high rates of unemployment, underemployment, and mental health concerns. Accessible and affordable childcare remains a pressing issue. This film aims to raise awareness of these challenges while inspiring others with the triumphs and accomplishments of military spouses. Through shared experiences and candid narratives, we hope to foster greater understanding and support the extraordinary individuals who sacrifice alongside their service members, all while pursuing their own goals and ambitions.
Yeah, and Jennifer, I just want to jump in here because one of the things that I think is so important is that the story of the modern military spouse at the forefront of a narrative is long overdue. We hope this is a catalyst for more stories like this to be told. And, when a couple movies just come to mind because I've watched them again recently, which is American Sniper and 12 Strong, where you do see the military spouse in several scenes and how they're dealing with the separation from their spouse. They're dealing with the aftermath of, just separations, different things, having babies, all those sorts of things. But the military spouse is still a secondary character and is still a supporting role. And we are really leading the lives of our military families. And it's just long overdue. It's time for our stories to be told at the forefront as the main character. And I think that this is just the beginning of those stories being told. And I also think back to when, and Jennifer, we've talked about this, about being a brand new military spouse. That's long ago for me at this time. But the thing is that there were veteran military spouses that helped me along. And now I am just happy that that's coming full circle. I want to give back in that way. I want to support new and future military spouses to show them that anything is possible, even with the challenges that they face. And so before we get too deep, though, because I know that we've got a lot of great topics to touch on here. Let's hear from Monica Fullerton, who many of you will know from Spousely and the executive producer of our film.
Yep.
Hi, everybody. We have Monica Fullerton here, CEO and founder of Spousely, here to talk more about In the Shadows of Service and why we kind of decided to get together and create this film. So Monica, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, so Jennifer, I'm so excited that we've been able to come this far and have been able to bring this long but much needed documentary into the works. Obviously, it's long overdue, and it's something that our community has been really, really wanting to see come to light. I know there's a lot of opportunities as well as challenges and inspiration that our community faces pretty much on a daily, if not weekly basis. And honestly, as a military spouse myself, everything that I've done with building Spousely from the ground up has stemmed from my own personal frustration and inspiration as a spouse. I always say that, there's an opportunity here with our lifestyle, and there's so much that we can embrace and so much that we can accomplish. But at the end of the day, we just need that extra support, that extra inspiration, as well as finding our tribe and our community that can help us get to where we want to go. Being able to see this documentary to shine light on all the different stories and all of the different, inspiration, grit, the strength that our community has is something that I feel like we can talk about it all day long, and we know the feeling because we're a part of the community. But I feel like those maybe that aren't directly tied to the community and want to learn more, or those that maybe are a part of the community but never really felt like they fit in. Like, I personally went through that. I remember my first few years of being a military spouse, I told nobody I was a military spouse because I didn't want it to hurt my own career goals and dreams. And I don't know, have you ever felt that way yourself? Or
Right, certainly. It's always that question that comes up in the job interview. Oh, what does your spouse do for a living? And it's like, do you say whether or not your husband or, wife are in the military? It's that catch-22, because as soon as you say it, they're gonna, oh, when do you plan on leaving? And then
Yes.
you just risk potentially your job. So I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in, if I can do it, you can do it too. And I think that that's the entire mindset that I really, really want to get across, mainly in this documentary, as well as in our community and everything that we do, is that, don't ever give up on your dreams, your goals, or what you want to achieve as a person, as an individual yourself. Just know that, when you have, like I said, the right support and you have the right mentality, there's so much that we can accomplish and that we can do together. So really shining light on everyone, as well as those that really always take time to say thank you for your service, thank you for your support and everything that you do. It's really, when one person serves, I'm a big believer that the entire family serves too, because there's so much that we all go through together.
Absolutely. And there's two components to this audience too, right? So there's obviously, I know within the military spouse community, most of us know about the unemployment metrics, the underemployment metrics, the childcare issues that we incur. But I know a lot of other people don't. But the other part of it is, what can we bring to the table with this film to the military spouse? So yes, we're going to be bringing awareness to those who don't know about those metrics, but what can we bring to the spouses? And just like you're saying, is that like kind of hope of inspiration of, hey, yes, you can do this. If you want to create your own empire, you can do it. It might be a long road, or maybe it won't. Maybe you'll be a natural at it, but certainly there's that inspirational component too. And I'm so happy to have you on board with that, to help with that inspirational side of things, because I think you guys are doing great things over at Spousely.
Well, thank you. And thanks for just, teaming up on this. And really, honestly, you've done so much to actually bring all of this to life. I feel like we always have those ideas. I'm always big on, there's a lot of idea fairies out there, but there's not many people that actually want to take the time and to execute on something that is so needed. So kudos to you, everything that you've done. Coral House Productions is an incredible company. I want to continue to see all of our dreams come to life, everybody in the community, as well as those really honoring and supporting our military spouse community for all that we are, all that we do. I know something that we get asked quite frequently so far since putting the documentary out there is, what's the goal? Like, is the goal just to help, support the community better? Is it just to provide inspiration for the internal community? And I would say that the overall goal is to spread awareness about the modern day military spouse and all that our community has within and all that we are looking to continue to do. And I would say that it expands way beyond just our community. It expands into those civilians and those supporters really watching and learning more about the untold stories.
So I have to be completely honest too. I'm one of that video because I want to like show how resourceful, military spouses are. I actually cut to Monica full screen because I had to yell at my kids in the background. And so, they're like running and screaming in the background as I'm trying to film this interview, this professional stuff. So I did like one of these muted the mic kind of thing. So I just wanted to I thought it was like a funny thing to comment, but I still cut it out because
that's all of us, Jennifer. So good job.
But yes, so I loved having that conversation with Monica. I thought she really hit the nail on the head. And, we wanted to create a documentary featuring powerhouse military spouses who have been there, done that, and to inspire other military spouses that they are not alone and that creating a business or managing the MilSpouse life is manageable. If this is something that you'd love to support and you haven't done so already, we definitely encourage you to pass on that cup of coffee from Starbucks this week and donate that $5 to our cause right now. I'm hoping by the end of this webcast that we'll have a bunch of fresh donations and kind of keep the ball rolling to get us to our goal of our Kickstarter goal, because if we don't reach our goal, we won't see a penny of that money, because Kickstarter is all or nothing. So we have to reach that end of the goal by July 5th. So definitely please continue sharing it as you will.
Yeah, and I'll just add, share this video. It will be reposted, right? It'll live on these platforms. Mm-hmm. Tag people in the comments, repost anybody that you think could help bring this to life. Please let us know. And I think, one of the other things that we should talk about is there are a lot of stereotypes surrounding military spouses. And I saw some comments of, wearing all the hats even while you're working. And that's so true of us trying to bring our dreams to life. And I think one of the things is, you can use derogatory terms. You can call us dependas. There's no bringing us down. So don't worry about, whatever you have to say. But I think that really just the reality is, and I think a lot of people talk about the military spouse or civilian divide potentially. And so stripping away those stereotypes, but genuinely, I believe that a lot of this is just, you don't know what you don't know. We all have these things in our lives of you don't know what you don't know. I will use a perfect example that happened a couple weeks ago with Jennifer and I on the phone, which is that there are 6 service branches. So Space Force is the 6th, in case you forgot that is indeed a branch. But there are 6, service branches. We all have different locations of our bases, or our camps, as they're called in the Marine Corps. We all have different resources at those geographic locations, different ability to make things happen. And so each branch provides its own opportunities and its own challenges, right? But here's a challenge that I don't know what I don't know. The Coast Guard is part of the Department of Homeland Security. It's not part of the Department of Defense. So those spouses faced a lot of challenges before the federal government recognizing, they're still military spouses of service branch, but because of the designation, certain resources weren't available to them. We didn't realize that designation of federal entity was causing a barrier, right? And so that is a perfect example of civilians don't know what they don't know. So this documentary is all about that. It's about bringing these things to light so that people know how to support us and they know how to help a military spouse. And like Jennifer, said earlier, so that people can really be like, I didn't realize that just because you're PCSing or just because you're moving, remote work is really normal today, everyone. So we can still do our jobs and be resilient, be reliable, and valuable to organizations, for example, even though we might be going through a life shift or a location change.
Yes, absolutely. And we will be talking more about those different branch differences. We will be doing another live webcast next week. So stay tuned for the date and time for that. It might be around the same time next Tuesday at noon, but stay tuned for more information on that. But we will be talking more and breaking down those different barriers too, because our goal with this film is to be inclusive as possible. This isn't the Jen show, the Liz show, the Monica show. Like, we want to make sure that whatever we're putting out there is going to be all military spouse story. It is, yes, we're talking about the modern military spouse story because, you know, the challenges that current modern military spouses are facing. However, we do recognize the seasoned and veteran spouses and the things that they had to have gone through to get us to where we are today. But this is representative of all military spouse voices. So I think this is actually a perfect time to talk about our cast. And talk about the different spouses that we will be casting. So we will be posting a link to a form if you guys are interested in being a part of the actual interview process for the documentary. Originally, we were going to do a new spouse. I think I'd still like to kind of put that information out there for somebody who's new to the military. And the link that I'll share with you guys will have a breakdown of all the characters. And these are just like a breakdown of fake characters, not real characters, but it's kind of the military spouse that we're looking for. So we're looking for the new military spouse who maybe recently married into the military and is kind of finding the demands and challenges that she's currently facing or he's currently facing with military lifestyle and trying to find jobs and experiencing all that joy that comes with that. We'll also be looking for an entrepreneur spouse, so somebody who is starting their own business. Maybe they didn't go to school for business and they're realizing all the different hurdles that they have to jump through to kind of hurry up and learn how to run a business and manage it, all while being a military spouse. We'll also be looking for a seasoned spouse. So somebody who's, you know, weathered the storms of unemployment and underemployment, having climbed to the pinnacle of that success, and is now thriving in a well-established business. And so that storyline kind of reflects the resilience and strength of military spouse and gives that kind of beacon of hope to future military spouses. And we're also looking for somebody, not necessarily a military spouse. I know, like, I put in their military spouse, but it could just be someone who's a big advocate for military spouses in Congress, on the Hill, that lobbyist, that grassroots organizer who's just dedicated and outspoken to help military spouses and trying to actively pass new legislation to help benefit military spouses. So those are the kind of 4 different people that we're looking for. And so certainly there'll be a link that's shared later today that you can go on a Google form and submit answers to a bunch of questions. You could even submit a video to answer those questions if you wish. And that way we can be able to, see how you interact and stuff. And then we'll kind of go through all of that and circle back with everybody once we get down to it. So in the end of the film, we hope people will take away a sense of inspiration and inclusiveness. And this film is not just necessarily, for the military spouses. It's also, we hope that more employers will reconsider military spouse hires and that more people will take action in Congress. And here's one example. Recently, shout out to Kimber Hill from VertForce. She brought my attention to the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. Senator Tim Kaine introduced this bill back in 2023. Currently, if employers hire veterans, homeless people, or ex-felons, they'll benefit from a tax credit. The employers will get a tax credit for hiring them. And this list does not include military spouses. And if you ask me, I think that one little change would help military spouse unemployment is just passing that bill. So, certainly I think that's a great place to start to fix that.
Absolutely. And I think, if you are a business owner, if you're an employer, or if you work for a large organization, Fortune 500 company, something like that, something that I'll ask that you consider right now is adding military spouse, to self-identify as military spouse on your applications.
Yes.
Know the stats in your organization. Ask people, are they a veteran spouse? Are they the spouse of a military veteran? Are they an active duty spouse? Are they a spouse of a reservist? We need to have this designation so that we can have equal employment opportunities as military spouses. Something that, has just been a stick in the mud for years and years, I guess decades at this point, is that military spouses, as a demographic, we have the highest unemployment rate in the nation, 21%. which is crazy when you're seeing that the national average is like 3 point something percent or 4%. That's just, if you think about that, just in terms of just the sheer numbers next to each other, right? 21% versus 4% even is just a massive gap. And so just the designation, if you are an employer, please, add that to your application so that you know if you are hiring military spouses, and also try to get the data if you have military spouses within your organization. Something else that I think we should talk about is just about troop readiness, and you don't necessarily consider the military spouse experience a part of troop readiness. If you watch the news or if you read any, news outlets, you definitely see when there are military leaders in front of Congress discussing important issues, the budget, also like government shutdowns that affect military. That's all talked about. But what we don't talk about is how the military spouse's experience affects troop readiness. And over the past 12 years, actually, the DoD reports that the satisfaction with military life is declining for military spouses. And if your spouse is not happy, usually that causes you to make a change. And unfortunately, how that's affecting our military is that our seasoned military members, our military leaders are transitioning out of the military at a peak opportunity period for their career because their spouses are dissatisfied with, the way that work is going. And most of that is about employment and child care. And I'll just share with you all, I think, I know that it's like over half or around half of spouses have a lot of trouble finding childcare when we have a PCS, permanent change of duty station, when we move. And myself, we've lived in California at this point for over 5 years. But when we had our son, he was on a wait list 4 months before he was born, and he did not get into childcare until he was after a year old. And so I guess, I don't know, 16 months, 17 months was what we waited. Right. And I just juggled him and a full-time job and going to grad school and all these things, because there wasn't another choice. Yeah. And I think just bringing these things to light and us telling these stories, through like the casting Jennifer's talking about and all the amazing, incredible military spouses we'll be able to highlight. I think it just awareness will, bring upon action, I think is the most important point here.
Yeah. And I'm sure if, Kayla Corbett is listening, she's just like clapping her hands, because I know Monica and I both recently spoke to her a few days ago. And, she had said that is one of the number one reasons why military spouse unemployment is as high as it is because of childcare. And it's so funny because I kind of I don't know if I just put it in the back of my mind and just forgot about it, but I do remember when we were living near Hunter Army Airfield trying to get in the CDC. This was at the time when I was trying to develop Coral House Productions. And so I didn't really have as many tax documents or anything for the business. And so in order to even get on the wait list, you have to be working. So it's like a catch-22, right? You need childcare because you're trying to work or you're looking for a job or stuff like that. And they make you have to have those jobs before you can have the childcare. And sometimes that's not immediate, as we all know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so for sure. And, somebody else just recently brought to my attention that the military spouse unemployment costs taxpayers over $1.07 billion. Sorry. And it's so expensive. And so it just shocks me that this isn't like some of these things, some of the issues that we incur is not something that we would want to manage or take care of. So definitely looking forward to bringing some of these things to life in the film. We also want to make sure we're doing justice by telling the military spouse story in a way that captivates our audience members. So that is why the budget we put together for the film is the way it is because we want to just make it beautiful, because military spouses deserve no less. And so I will also want to shout out to some of the Spousely vendors too. Katie Prill, she's designed some beautiful, beautiful rewards. So if you haven't donated already over on Kickstarter, there are different tiers that you can donate. And by donating on the different tiers, you could get a bookmark or a t-shirt. There's even challenge coins like the honor coins that we'll be offering. You can even do private screening of the film. We're going to be doing, I hope we can do a screening of the film in Washington, D.C. when it's completed. So those are all different things. There's even, if you want to be an associate producer, you even have a credit in the film if you want to get up that high on the film. So please do share all of the stuff. It will help all of us in the long run. And, I feel like too, with this grassroots effort, it will just kind of shake those people in Congress like, hello, now more people know about it. The word's out and all these people are here knocking on your door to want change and demand change. And I think that's what is needed.
Absolutely. And and again, I think one of the things is that we just need to touch on and maybe drive home is this is meant to be a point of inspiration. It's also meant to be, a record of the military experience. And I very much hope that it's a catalyst for more of these stories being told. So if you're in our networks and you're part of a major studio or you're part of, a major production company or something like that is making these films, when we are making all of these military themed films and military stories, consider making those spouses more of a part of that story, putting them at the forefront in those stories. At the end of the day, I posted about this last week, which many of you probably did see, which is, I call veterans and service members. I totally believe that they are superheroes. I believe that my husband is a superhero for his selfless service. I can't imagine what it takes for that vocation to sign that paperwork, to sign your life over like that. And I think, but in a way I did sign up because I knew, I knew he was in the military and he wanted to make a career of it when we were together. So I think just bringing this to the forefront that we need these stories to be told. We need to be the main character of these stories. We are as superheroes ourselves as spouses, which I fully am realizing at this point in my military journey as a mom, that, it just needs to be told. And we need to uplift those future military spouses that are, maybe you're dating a service member or maybe you're engaged to a service member and you have a little fear about what is that going to be like. The
deer in headlights looks like.
Yeah. So yeah, funny. Ultimate deer in headlights is we got married and 2 months later, I found myself living in 29 Palms. If you are a Marine, you know what that's like. The Army actually said that 29 was uninhabitable. So, the Marine Corps bought it. But you just make the most of it, right? As military spouse, you're resilient. That's just, born in you. And so for future military spouses, anything is possible. Like Monica said in her video, anything is possible. You do not have to give up on your dreams or yourself. And we just hope that highlights that all.
Yeah. I think that's one of my biggest takeaways for this is because I was in that exact position myself. And I think one of the biggest things that I had experienced is I did feel alone. I thought that I was missing something. I thought I should have went to school for this, or what's wrong with my resume? What's wrong with me? And, I certainly think that if you are a new military spouse, there are different resources out there. There are actually quite a few, but sometimes that can be overwhelming trying to understand where to go for the first time. Like for me, years ago, I couldn't access Military One Source because I was Coast Guard. They've since changed that. But during that time, it was very hard for me because I couldn't apply for some things because I was DHS and not DOD. But, we're working all together. We're a supportive community together. And I hope that that's just what this film does. And I recently posted on social media about this, but I'll share it here too. We were talking to Stephanie Brown over at Rosie's List and the Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce, who've been big supporters of our film, and I really am super appreciative of that. But you know, she was talking to me about how she had recently had helped somebody, and the woman had come up to her, and she just was kind of overwhelmed with emotion, and she was telling Stephanie, you know, you helped me so much, but it wasn't about like getting a job and making money. It was about finding purpose, about getting that, just feeling that confidence and knowing that we could do it and that her kids were proud of her. It provides a healthier marriage because, you know, it just, that mental health overall was just improved because of it. And the money was just icing on the cake. And when she told me that, I'm like, that is in a nutshell, I feel like, the message that I hope to bring to the table. Not that we're looking for handouts or anything, nothing like that. Honestly, I think just a few changes in Congress is really all that is needed, and just bringing light to some of the things that we experience.
Absolutely.
So at this time, I want to open the floor up if anybody has any kind of questions for us about the film, about the cast, about our timeline. You know, I will say real quick about the timeline that we had hoped to, you know, where we will be applying for grants no matter what. However, if you're familiar with the grant process, that can take years. So that's kind of why we decided to go the Kickstarter route, is because we were hoping to kind of get up and running quicker, because we feel like there's a lot of stuff happening right now with military spouses in the media, and trying to get the word out there about all of that stuff. So we do hope to have a debut for this sometime in 2026. It just takes, that's part of the filmmaking process, is how long it takes to kind of put this all together and get the film out there. So, but I do want to open up the floors if anybody has any questions. And I see your comment there over on LinkedIn, Emily Lyles. Thank you for your comment. Definitely happy that you're loving that this is not, it's such an important story and to tell, and it's not, definitely not going to be ignored. So thank you for that comment. And oh, Nicole Palmer, she says she had a sign in my kitchen that said, "I am an Army wife. What's your superpower?" I love that.
I know. I feel like we need those signs.
Maybe that should have been like a giveaway on Kickstarter. Is just depending on the branch of service, have those ready.
Yeah.
Katie, are you listening? No, I'm just kidding. Oh, speaking of which, let me also just make another shout out to Charlie Madison Originals. I made a post about it last week. We have collaborated with them on a bracelet. And so I don't have a picture. You'll have to hop over to the social media channels to see it. But essentially what we designed, the way we designed it was, it's a very balanced looking bracelet, because that's what we do, is we bring balance to the family military life. And I see you, Katie.
Katie's listening.
Yeah. And so the bottom beads are this very marbled look. It's centered, but it's complicated. It's got twists and different hurdles it represents the hurdles that we embrace as military spouses, and we jump right over them, like, you know, like one of those cop guys in a movie who jumps over the hood of a car. So please, that's right now, it's currently only available as an add-on to the Kickstarter. So I mean, you could still like donate $1 and then add the bracelet to your cart if you wanted to. But it's a beautiful, beautiful bracelet. And if you're not familiar with Charlie Madison Originals, I believe she was Navy. She was a Navy spouse, veteran Navy spouse. I think they're retired. I think I remember that because like Coast Guard, Navy, and so yes, be sure to check all that out. So
yeah, Nicole says I'm designing the stickers, which I love, and just, you know, I mean, I think another way, if you're not familiar with Spousely, you know, for example, go over to Spousely when you have a birthday gift to give, or you have Christmas, you know, holidays are perfect. Buy from military spouse-owned companies. You know, that's another way to support military spouses that are living their dreams and helping that cause, to bring that to the forefront. And, you know, I'm looking at our Kickstarter. We've got 16 days to go, so a little over 2 weeks. I am absolutely like I know we can do this. Our goal is $75,000. We are currently at over $14,600. I know that we can do this with the help of our community and our networks on here. And if, we're going to continue to do the webcast, but if you were inspired by something today, please, every single dollar counts and helps. And if you've ever made any sort of video, you know what goes into production. It is never a straightforward process. So please help get this off the ground and let us tell those stories of military spouses. You've got some questions here, Jennifer, I think. What happens if Kickstarter does not work? What's the next step?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Nicole. I think that's a great question. So as mentioned, we certainly have always planned to apply for the grants. There are several grants out there that we are able to apply for. So that is the current goal. Just the funds for that just won't come in right away. So right now, our team is not being paid for the work that we're doing this right now. Like this webcast, the time we put in together with the Kickstarter, the editing for the teaser trailer, all that has been on Coral House Productions' dime, or the volunteer hours that Liz, Monica, and the rest of the Kickstarter team. I'll shout out to Caroline Schaefer, who's helping in the comment section right now. I'm so thankful to all of you guys for all your help with this campaign so far. But what I will say is that we do have an exciting opportunity presented by Jamie Chapman and Stephanie Brown over at the Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce. So we will be talking a little bit more about that after the campaign ends. But there will be more opportunities for people to donate through their foundation, and we can kind of talk more about that after the campaign ends. But for now, we are trying to kind of cycle through the Kickstarter and make sure we try to see if we can get that to be successful. And I feel pretty confident that we can do it too. And it's just a matter of getting that grassroots effort. It seems like a big number right now, but if we can get 6,300 people to donate $10, I mean, that seems a little bit more manageable. So that's why we're always saying share, like, all that kind of thing, is because it seems like a much manageable number if we can get a few thousand people to donate $10. And that's because of military spouses. I think active duty military spouses, there's like over 700,000 active duty male spouses. So
absolutely. So, Nicole, awesome.
That's awesome. Congratulations. They're a great company to work with. So I've felt nothing but just camaraderie with the chamber, and I know they work really hard in helping get some of those metrics and surveys out so we know what's going on in the military spouse community, and that is incredibly needed.
And on that, actually, if you are interested in just like getting the real data and getting the real stats, the DoD puts out, Department of Defense puts out a survey every year now about military spouses to active duty military spouses. If you just Google that, DoD active duty military spouse survey results, they've got really comprehensive, infographics and just blog posts on the really just clear information. So if you're unclear about what we're talking about and those stats for unemployment and things like that, that's just a great resource. Just go there. Like if you read through that and you're not excited for some change, then I don't know kind of what will do it. But I definitely believe that even just reading through that for myself, reminding myself of those numbers sometimes is just a good reminder of the why, right? The why these stories need to be told, why military spouses are superheroes, all those sorts of things. So if you want, that's a great resource for data.
Yeah, and I will say that, sometimes you'll come across stuff that says the military spouse unemployment rate's 21%, 22%, 24%. And like, I actually asked Jamie Chapman, I was like, what's with that? Like, I see varying different numbers, and I'm like, I want to make sure that we're accurately, addressing that too. And her response was that there was they do the survey every couple of years or so. And I don't think it's really a regular survey that they put out there, but I know in 2018 it was 24%. But that 2021 came around and it was 21%, but that it was still not a substantial enough percentage difference so that they still say it's anywhere between 21 and 24%. So, it hasn't, while it might seem like 3% is a drop, I mean, you're talking about the national unemployment rate is usually 3 or 4% for regular Americans, Americans looking for work. And for military spouses, that's like nearly triple the amount. So it's still extremely high and way over the number it should be. But, certainly part of this documentary too is to try to engage in more research and awareness for people in Congress who are in charge of putting some of these surveys out there to get accurate numbers. So this is also a piece that we're hoping will be a takeaway from this film as well.
Yes, absolutely. And 92% of military spouses, is a pretty steady number, are women. However, there are a lot of male military spouses too, and we don't want to leave them out. And I think we need to recognize that military spouses are as diverse as our service members are, coming from all states, all walks of life, all different backgrounds. And in the military, there are opportunities from enlisted to officer to everywhere in between and all sorts of things. So, our military spouses are extremely diverse. And I think that we also want to highlight that and need to highlight that. And then one of the things too, I think that is really important about the data, Jennifer, that you just spoke about is, we don't even have accurate numbers around military spouse-led companies' revenue. Mm-hmm. So what is the economic impact of military spouse-owned companies? And I think that also, part of this is driving just overall data focus on military spouses specifically. And, we are making, I believe, strides in capturing women-led companies, minority-led companies, but yeah, right. But we also need military spouse-led companies and how that is affecting our economy. We know that veteran-led companies that own small businesses absolutely is affecting and bringing up our economy. They employ hundreds of thousands of people. And I think military spouses, we would be surprised by those numbers too.
Mm-hmm. Very well said. Well, I think that about wraps up, I think, everything that we were going to cover today. I don't see any other additional questions. However, if you're rewatching the replay of this, feel free to add a question there. We will still come by and answer it for you. I'm happy to do so. We are so happy to be here to be able to talk about the film some more. And we hope that more military spouses will be able to see this, hear us, know that we have your best interest at heart, that we're trying to do really good things to pave the path for future military spouses. And, certainly we are happy to be here. And then next week, as mentioned, we will be doing another webcast and kind of just shooting the breeze as far as military stories, military spouse experiences in different branches. And one that I had brought up was shame and feeling shame as part of the process. And so I'd love to kind of talk more about that next week. So stay tuned for more information on that. Liz, you got anything to say closing us out?
I don't think so. I think that about wraps it up. But, thank you all for watching. If you're watching live or the recording, thank you in advance for supporting In the Shadows of Service. And if you have any questions, or just want to reach out, I think I will speak for Jennifer and please, send us a message or comment, reach out, and we'd love to answer any of your questions and talk to you about the project.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Liz. And thanks to everybody else for joining us. Take care.